Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hi. So, it's another Meet Me Pie, and it's Wednesday, and so today we have Vicky with us.
Hello.
Welcome,
Hello.
Vicky.
It's been a
And
while. It's been a while.
I wanna say as well that it's our 25th edition. So yeah,
Wow.
already
Cool.
like this. So you're an honor invitee.
Oh, thank you so much. Especially on the 25th episode. Wow.
Yeah.
You've been very
it's-
busy.
Yeah, it has been a few months, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So 25th week. I don't think we skipped any week actually. Like we're invictus.
Yeah. Almost like, but we have 1 week that we went to Turkey, and that's it, I think.
But we streamed on that week even. That was streaming on that week
Yeah.
from a boat.
Yeah,
That's
from a boat.
dedication. Wow.
That's not our plan actually, but we accidentally went on a boat, so we just go with that. So I think before we start chatting with Vicky, what we would do normally is that we would go to talk about some news happening recently in Python, and of course Vicky can tell us a little bit more if she have anything to tell. But so let's say here that we have Djangocon. Ooh.
Yeah, virtual Djangocon. And it's next week. Yeah, no, actually it's in 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've never been to a Djangocon because I'm not a web developer, but I'm sure it will be amazing. And I would love to go like one day, but it's going virtual this year, so you can enjoy it at home, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't used
Yeah, but I
Django in a
think they
long
confirmed the
time
next.
myself. So yeah, some of my sites are still on Django. Actually, I still have to update them. But yeah, I haven't been developing in Django stuff, but I am following it. But yeah, I'm really excited. I haven't been to DjangoCon myself, DjangoCon Europe, and I heard they had a great time when I think they were in Wales one year. I heard that everyone had a great time there.
Yeah, and I'm sure it will be great. So next thing is
Yeah, I think
PyData
it was
Hamburg.
supposed to be. Yeah, that's us as well. So we're gonna be talking at PyData Hamburg next week. It's 6 days from now, actually. I'm super excited about this.
Yeah, please
And
support.
Chuck is gonna be talking about the new.
Yeah.
Sorry, my internet is not great, so there is a delay. So just go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so please support Lace, and we basically you will learn a lot about database and data pipeline and other stuff. So if you are data people, you should come to PyData Hamburg. You should support the community there as well. So yeah, we'll see you next week there. So the next thing we talk about is that the Humble Data Workshop. So yeah, there's lots of data things going on this week. So so this is actually if you know that PyData Global is happening in November this year, and it's gonna be like the title is global, so it's gonna be online. It's gonna be targeted everybody around the world, and so on the 7th, so which is like the week before the conference, like the weekend before the conference actually, that we would have 2 sections of workshops that is dedicated for beginners. So maybe Vicky, you have you know people who want to learn about data and all this, we totally welcome for beginners, especially for people who kind of consider as minority in the data world, that we would love to bring them in and give them some knowledge about data, and of course build a community as well, so they can have some mentors. So we need mentors as well, so if you have some skills you want to share, you can apply to be the mentor. And there's 2 sections to accommodate different time zones, so you should be able to join either one of them. And yeah, love to see you there. So yeah.
Cool.
And another yeah.
Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yeah.
Or is it still laggy?
No, it's okay, we can hear you.
We can hear you now.
Oh, perfect. Cool. Sorry about that. Yeah, the Humble Data Shop, the Humble Data Workshop is. I saw loads of people talking about it on Twitter, and you still need some mentors as well, right?
We're still open for application. Yes.
Perfect. So there is a call for mentors for everyone that likes Python and wants to help a little bit. Chuck also needs mentors. So yeah.
That's cool. It's great. I have a newsletter I release at the beginning of each month, so that's already on my to-do list of adding into my call for mentors or call to action stuff. But I'll push it out on my social media as well. But yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And we
Thank
have
you.
a survey from the PSF, yes, and it's about pip. And basically, the team making pip want to know the usability and want to get people's opinion about pip. So yeah, the word is very very small. So this website, I'm zooming in. So yeah, So just go there and try to support the work of the team who's developing pip and try to finish a survey to help. And yeah, so that's the thing, error message and like what do you like about pip, what do how do you think that pip can improve, so this stuff. So yeah, also you can contribute as well. So yeah, I would consider like doing this survey another way of contributing. It's not just like you fix a bug or you write some code or something. Like sometimes this is also a contribution. So if you're using Python like every day, if you're using pip a lot, then this is the way of contributing back to Python. Yeah. So another thing that is related to us is that we'll have the EuroPython Society General Assembly, and so this is like once per year. Usually it will happen during the EuroPython, but of course this year things are slightly different. And so we'll have the General Assembly coming Sunday on the 20th. So if you have been to EuroPython, the chances are you are the member of EuroPython Society, because if you have been to, the thing is like if you have been to the conference and you remember you have your badge, right? So not this year, but like previous years, that you would get a little icon on your badge. That means that you are the member of this EuroPython Society. So I think when you get the ticket, you have the option to opt in to become the member. So I think, yeah, I just naturally checked that box and didn't realize until I get the icon on my badge, and I ask around like, what does that mean? It just means that you're a member. It's like, okay. So yeah, I guess like maybe you are actually a member that you haven't realized. So so if you are a member, if you have been to EuroPython, then this General Assembly you can join and see like what what will happen in EuroPython the year coming, and it will be in Dublin. So if you are based in Dublin, then I also encourage you to come in.
It's free as well. Well, you have to purchase a ticket, but to be a member, you don't have extra cost to become a member. As you say, you just check it on the ticket. And it's great to, one way of getting involved, being part of this community. And you get a chance to see, as I said, behind the scenes and what's happening, what people are doing, who the board are, what do they do, how did they create this EuroPython, how do they run it. And then also, it's interesting, you get to see the reports and the outcomes, especially with this year, completely new virtual format. Which you two did a great job, by the way, and I barely did anything. but it is everyone learned a lot. So it's a great way to find out and get involved, even if you're just checking that box, just being part of the community even helps, So yeah.
Yeah. Or you can fill in the form if you're not sure, that you could just fill in the form and become a member. So yeah, that's very easy. And so please, if you have time, just come in and see what's going on. So and then
what time is that going on?
Sorry,
what time is that going to be? Like it's
this
Sunday, right?
Sunday, yes. It's going to be online, of course, and it's gonna be if you are in Europe, it's gonna be 6 to 8. So in UK and Ireland, it's 5 to 7.
7, yeah. Cool. Just asking. Thank you.
Yeah. And so some news from Guido. I just saw it and I found it interesting that like people ask about like, of course, now we have like Python 3.9, right? And then so the next one is it Python 4? And people said like, oh, actually, like but Guido already cleared it. Actually, if you pay attention to the GitHub, the development of Python is going to be 3.10. And people wonder what's happening if it's Python 4 is like and it's more like it will be from 1 to 2 rather than 2 to 3, because like I think 2 to 3 is like a big change, and there was a lot of like kind of resistant to change to 3. That's why 2.7 is still hanging around like a ghost. So so well, I think people have a lot of questions, and Guido kind of like cleared it in his tweet, and so yeah.
People are just going like, whew, like backward compatibility, all that stuff. Everyone just used 3, and now it's like, what do you mean 4? People just, I think it's just a trigger of what happened with the major version change like that. But it's good to see it's just a small one, and it wouldn't be that detrimental to a lot of people's projects or huge project or legacy stuff that are Python 3 projects, because that was it was a hot topic for a long time. Anywhere you go to conferences is always a big thing to ask. Yeah.
It's like, I think it's go from like people are so scared, and then like there are a lot of tools that people would be like, no, we have to make some tools to change it from 2 to 3, and then people painfully have to like adopt, and there's still like some struggle. I remember like even when I started Python a few years back, like there's still like, oh, I want to use this, but it's only in 2. Like, oh, it's like how? So but now it's like most things will be in 3, or like you can find the 3 equivalent, so it's not a big problem. But it takes time to change, so it was a big thing back then.
It was definitely a trigger when when people hear about that. I think everyone still has PTSD from all this, I suppose.
And some people only get on board to 3 like at 3.6 or 3.7, and now it's like a few years, and now you want me to change again? What so well,
I think he actually mentions the PTSD in another tweet, talking about how impactful it was for everyone's mental health. But anyway.
So I think that's it for the news, and then we can actually start chatting with Vicky, which is exciting.
Hello, everyone.
So
go for it.
So I think first of all, I think this is like kind of the standard that we want to know more about our guest. Like when did you start Python? Like how do you get involved?
This is where people find out how old I am. I tell you, well, I encountered Python back around 2002, 2003. And it was actually kind of a run up to it. I was actually did a course in Perl, and even received a certificate for it. But I didn't actually use it. A couple of days later, I was introduced to this thing called Python, and it was by my colleague, now husband, Mick. And so that's how we really got into it. It was just nice to use, just clear. And we end up just writing, it was just a tool wrapping around all our shell scripts, all the kind of build tools for our projects, just making life easier, all the repetitive tasks. The usual coders are so, lazy, and we want to simplify, well, not simplify, just to, remove the repetitive stuff and make, and also cleaner. And also gives us time to improve processes somewhere else as well. So it benefited the whole team, it's not just ourselves. So, but it was quite new at the time. So that's where I first encountered Python, the early 2000s. So yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm a complete expert at it now. I've only just I've gone back to Python on and off in between all my stuff. So I'm more of a hobbyist. So whenever I can, I get a chance to code in Python. So I can be rusty in parts. So that's why I have, like, as I said, I mentioned that some of my websites in Django on purpose, because I want to go and play with Django and create sites and, learned how to deploy it and all that kind of stuff. But all that stuff is like a couple of years old now, so I have to upgrade them or port them to something else completely. So I need to refactor. I have like about 3 sites I need to refactor. That's a long-term goal to do. So
what was the use case back in 2003? I mean, like, is it a application or
no, it was literally wrapper kind of scripts around our current build tools. So our current build tools were all just shell, C shell, whatever types of shells there are. I think with their several different versions, you just basically you run a command and it will build packages and build all that stuff. I used to work in Sun at the time, and we're building Solaris packages and all that kind of stuff. So it was a way to actually, if they were using a lot of shell scripts, and so we thought it was just getting messy, and so we decided to make it clean. And Python was a new thing, so we said, hey, we can do this. So it was a lot cleaner. We just type this one command, and we call all these different things to build these packages and stuff. And then as the years later, I was looking after patching old versions of Solaris. So I was implementing a lot of Python scripts, creating part of the patch tools to submit to the patch team and things like that. So I was using a lot of Python just to make life easier to build, and it was cleaner. So it was also, I wouldn't miss a step when I build something, whereas it's already there. You've written it and it works. You don't need to touch it. So it was literally more of a script than applications. We use of Python, because it's still quite early days. Of course, we were playing around, with the, I think there was a project I was doing a lot of we were a localization team. So I end up looking after a lot of keyboards and stuff. So there was no really good keyboard tools out there, or they're really slow. And then I was looking at Python saying, what kind of, toolkit they have to create this GUI interface for remapping keyboards and things like that. So I was looking into that kind of stuff as well. So so it was all quite early days. It was it did its job, and it was quick. It was just nice as well. So I think that's what drew me, was just that the code was clean, so you can actually see what's going on. And I think it's still the case more or less now, that it's readable. And that's what drew me to that, as opposed to Perl, where you can have, it does things perfectly, but it's all in one line, and you don't know what the heck is going on. You're trying to debug that. Good luck in debugging that, because even if you wrote that yourself, it makes sense until a few weeks later you go, what did I just write? So as I said, I think a colleague came up to me a few years later, asked me about some Perl questions. I have no clue about Perl, but I heard you did a Perl course. Say I did, but a few days later I just used Python. And I was like looking over, and underneath a bunch of books was my certificate for my Perl course. It was like, it was just there, like I'd completely forgotten about it, because I found this other nifty kind of this new programming language that was really nice to use and did its job, and as expected as well. So that was also the early days of figuring out, like, when kind of source control was coming in as well. So they distributed all the history of all different source control kind of tools and things. So it was an interesting period where lots of things are happening.
Python is still a very good automation tool. Like, we love it, like to automate all the tasks. Like, that's why we have data pipeline and all this stuff. So Lace, do you want to ask some questions?
Yeah, sure. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your diversity, like injection, because you're a diversity advocate, aren't you?
Well, I gave myself that title like after people keep asking me, what am I? What do I do? And I actually had to sit down after, people say you should be able to say what you are in a sentence, or elevator pitch, 2 minutes, or not 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 20 seconds, tell me who you are. So yeah, I just as the years progressed, and as I was doing more and more stuff in this area, I decided to say I kind of advocate diversity in tech. So that's why, that's where the title came about. And also I needed a title because people keep asking me, since at the time when we did a lot of in-person events, when you talk to people networking, people ask you over and over again. So you have to repeat who you are and what you do over and over. So you just want to keep it short. So and that was my major thing, was advocating diversity in tech. So above being a coder.
Cool. So I have a follow-up question for you then. So since you are a diversity advocate, I think you're the best person to ask then. Which actions do you think that should be taken? I mean, that's a cliche, but which actions do you think that should be taken in tech to still push for more diversity?
It really boils down to, from my perspective, encourage people who are from different cultural backgrounds, genders, kind of minority groups to participate in tech events. So that's where I come from my end, to lower the barrier of entry for people to come along, to say, join tech events, even in person one, not just virtual one is great because now we can reach further afield. But when or if, even back then from experience, going to in-person events, it can be daunting for a lot of people, and people kind of get scared and then they don't come back. So you have a lot of people come along and you don't see them again. Now, how do you kind of get people to come along in the first place, and then how do you get them to stay? And so I think that was the big thing for me, was trying to. So when I think when I was part in Ireland, it's what I do when the group was much smaller. I will, since I run it every month, so I can see the faces over and over again. And then when I see a new face, I will, whenever there's a social afterwards, I will go over and introduce myself, bring that person over to a group, and just introduce them, get them in. So, but it kind of didn't work after when groups start become 60, 70, 80, like huge. Like, how do you find who is the new person having this in a group that big? And it's quite scary. I have people who have decades of years experience in programming and just new into Python, and they're just like, I don't know what's going on. I didn't understand the talk. Will people like to talk to me because I don't do any Python? And they're gonna, and that wasn't even that was just a male software engineer that I was talking to, because I just so happened to know, okay, I didn't recognize that face. I'm going to talk to that person and see if we can get them mingling with other people. So I think that was the big thing, was trying to get people into, but it's still really hard. And that's where I started other groups as well, just to have smaller, kind of friendlier spaces for people to come along, and then introduce them that way to the tech events that are happening all over Dublin and Ireland, saying, hey, if you can come to my small group, you can definitely go to the big groups. We're all not that different. It's just more people, but you don't have to be. But so we're all into the same thing, and we're all quite friendly. So I think that is the very big thing: bringing people together and make it welcoming for people, and lower that bar to entry for people who are interested in the area of tech, in that topic, and try to give a good impression. And I think that's the one way. There's no point in showing tons of cool technology when no one's going to go to it, or they go and then don't come back, or don't share their passion, or don't share their newfound kind of love of Python, and they don't want to talk about it because they're terrified of the people in front of them, or terrified of the organizers, or terrified, this, that, and the other. So that would be one definitely big way I can see, because it's a hard problem to solve, because I've been looking at it for so long, so long. I ignored it in the early part of my career because I thought, it's always like that. I'm going to be the only person. I think one story was I was in a team where there was a lot of kind of female developers, and I said, why don't you come to Python Ireland? I kind of stopped after about 3 or 4 months trying to ask them to go. He said, look, I'm organizing it. I'm going to be there. Can you not come even just for an hour? And, they just kept making up stories and excuses. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm not going to force you. Because, again, that's the other thing. You can't force people to go to events if they don't feel comfortable, or if they just don't want to, because I have lots of days or evenings or whatever where I don't want to go to an event, so why pressure someone to go just because you want another person just like yourself there, or a whole bunch of people? But so it's kind of hard to not try to pressure, but you're trying to open up that whatever community you're a part of or you're involved with is also friendly, and it's okay to come along, and it's okay to disappear. You don't have to stay for the full thing and things like that. So I think that would be a big thing to try and increase like the message that that it goes word of mouth. When one person say, hey, you should go along, it's actually not too scary, or you want to give a short talk, that would be a group to go to, and then they get addicted giving talks, so maybe they'll give a talk at a huge conference. You never know,
Yeah.
So it's kind of I think over the years, I think that for me that's a big thing, trying to get people to come along and talk to each other, share their ask questions. Big thing. That's a very big thing. Not be afraid to ask questions. Share their experiences, and yeah, just connecting with one another, knowing that you're not alone. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
huge part of it as well.
yeah, I totally agree. So, yeah, so I think that there's a questions that like Lace want to ask about Python Island.
Yes,
You want to
I
ask that?
do.
Oh my god.
I was gonna ask. Yes, I was gonna ask the following one.
Go on.
There was, yeah, well, that was because you were mentioning Python Island. I
Mm.
actually just recently found out that you were one of the founders of Python Island.
No, sort of
And
no.
no, co-founders, no,
No, I
because
tell you,
like,
no, that's PyCon Ireland, right? That's another
oh,
story I can tell. But
okay,
Python Ireland itself started by a person called Dara Sharon in 2004. And I was so excited because it was just you see, I encountered Python not so long before that, knowing that there's hardly any meetup groups. I get to go to like, I see one tech event maybe in a year, or two tech events in a year, and that was true by luck because I was signed up to the Irish Linux kind of user group mailing list. There's no meetup, there's no social media, there's no such thing as Eventbrite or anything like that. So it's word of mouth, and you can imagine how, when I saw something, saw an event, I just beelined for it. And I remember it was late 2004. Because it was also that same day, I remember it was the company's all hands, and I had a couple of beers. So I was really young, so free beer and stuff. But I found my way to the meetup, and there was like 30 odd people there. It was so exciting to be just people just talking to other people who are excited about this new tech, new programming language. They took a break, and it reformed by Sean O'Donnell the following year. And a couple of months later, a few people started up, and then started to go and turn up, and I tagged along. And then people are talking about, oh, instead of meeting up in pubs, we love to give talks and show off the projects that we're doing. Okay. And then people just sat there and go, okay, someone do something. I said, sure, how hard would it be to find speakers? And if we get a speaker, how hard is it to find a space and to host it? And little did I know, it took me, I start running these events till I stepped down in 2016. So it was just like, yeah, it was hard to let go, but it was also trying to find other people to run it. You know yourself, it's hard to find kind of people to be committed to run these every month. So I was running these every month, and yeah, it was kind of fun meeting lots of different people, meeting lots of different companies. But yeah, so I didn't start it, but I took over kind of more doing the meetups and the finding the speakers and the spaces, and yeah, during that period, PyCon Ireland started in 2010. A whole bunch of us came together, and I ran the first four. Well, not ran. I chaired. I didn't have a choice. We all co-ran it. But when it comes to, hey, who's going to open the conference? Suddenly everyone disappeared from the room, and I was there saying, you're the chair, you should do it. I was like, when did I become the chair? So so I ended up being the chair for 4 years because of default. No one wanted to talk in front of everyone to open up the conference, because it is quite daunting as well. But sure, why not? I was pretty much like, it was all learning on the go. But yeah, so yeah, I've been involved with the Python community for quite a long time. I stayed because the community was just amazing. It welcomed me with open arms. I asked silly questions. Sometimes I was scared, but I did ask questions, and they did answer. And you get to learn a lot. You hear a lot of conversations. I think that's a lot. That's the only downside about all these remote events. No matter how much you chat on the live chat or the chat window is not the same as in person. Being face to face and then jumping in and chatting, having that, the actual in-person social interaction is kind of so different. And I really enjoyed all those years, meeting a lot of wonderful people along the way. and then it just expanded to, PyCon Ireland only started because I went to EuroPython. It was because of that. It was their fault. They're the ones who said, "Hey, we want to find another host for next year." They're in Birmingham. Like, who wants to host it? And there was a few people from the core Python Ireland crew turned around and looked at me in the auditorium. And I go, "Oh my God, you can't do this. We can barely get 12. We get max. We're lucky. We get maybe dozen people or 20 people turning up for. That's like a huge turnout for us. Like, if we can get more than 6 people, like it was a 12, that's double amount of our monthly meetup. And so we were quite small back then. And so I went to their their talk, their open call about hosting your Python. I was looking around and I see like PyCon, France or PyCon, I think Italy was there. Germany was definitely there. There's a lot of heavy hitters there that has run conferences. They actually have PyCon in their name. I was there with Python Ireland with at best we get 12 people turning up at our biggest meetup ever. And we had no clue about sponsorship stuff or hosting conferences.
Yeah.
So I just said, I'm in here to see what's going on, but I'm not putting our Dublin into the hat. We're too small. But it was kind of I blame EuroPython for us having PyCon Ireland, because it was that idea that was I think seeded in people's minds as we came back to Ireland. And that then people said we should really host EuroPython. I said, no, we can't. Okay, we should do a conference, at least do an Irish one to get the experience of hosting conferences and build up that foundation of company support and speakers and all that, and the community, build up that community so we can host a EuroPython. And guess what? It's nearly there. We nearly got it this year. We did get it this year, but COVID got in the way. So it's going to be amazing next year. But I just couldn't believe that when I saw Dublin actually being picked, and I go, I kind of
happening. Yeah.
happening. And that's why I wanted to join and help, because I said we started PyCon Ireland because of EuroPython. And after all that work, I decided not to participate in EuroPython in Dublin. It was so yeah, I started to contact all the old crew again that originally helped with the PyCon Ireland to see if they like to get involved with EuroPython. So let's see how we go with that. But yeah, do you wanna hear the story how PyCon Ireland started? Beside that was a seeding factor. There's another bit to it. Yeah.
Of course. I have one story to tell you after that then.
So as with all good ideas, they all come from meeting in a pub, as you do. Not stereotyping us here in Ireland at all. But as I said, EuroPython was held in summertime. So this idea of EuroPython has been stuck in the Python Ireland people's heads for ages. So by the time it hit February 2010, I know it's February. I know it's kind of I don't know the date. All I know it was cold and wet, and there was a core of us in Neary's upstairs. I was the only one not drinking because I was actually I gave up drink at that stage. And so I was the only sober one. So I can only say that I have the most clearest mind when it comes to this story. So a whole bunch of us plus a whole bunch of us start talking. They said they want to do EuroPython, and as the drinks flowed, they said, "This is good. We're going to do it." I said, "Oh, hang on a minute. We still can't remember. We don't have experience." So then they come across, "Okay, let's do PyCon Ireland." I said, "When do you want to do it?" "No, this is February." They said, "Let's do it in April." I go, "That's only 2 months away." How are we going to do this? And I said, "You have to, And then they said, let's do it in summertime. So that's what we did. We aimed, I think we had it in July that year. And that was our first one. And as I said, our biggest amount of people that turn up was about, I think it was a dozen to 20 something people, I say max. So we said, even we doubled it up, we said that would be a good turnout for a conference. It's not too bad. It's not huge. It ended up the venue we got. It was the cheapest PyCon Ireland we ever done. It used to be in the Dublin School of English, along where beside the hotel that U2 has along the Liffey. There's there's now a kind of a very fancy kind of deli kind of supermarket kind of place. So that used to be this Dublin School of English, and we had our conference up there, and it was like rather cheap. And since they were part of Temple Bar, the owner was part of the Temple Bar kind of committee, kind of board committee or whatever, the board. So they were able to talk to Botticelli at the time, and they brought in their one of their staff to make coffee for us, free coffee, proper Italian coffee for a whole day, whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
So that was still the best coffee ever. And
It's
we
no
had
surprise that it's related to Temple Bar. It's no surprise.
so we had about just under 100 people turn up, and I go, where were you when I kept asking for people to come to our meetups? They were coming from all over. And that one year we had Steve Holden. The first time it was Steve Holden came along. He was the chair of PSF.
Yeah.
And he wanted to see who this PyCon Ireland is about, because at the time you have the PyCon. As I said, I mentioned a few of the PyCons already, and there's not that many around the world. There was the few of the European ones, then PyCon, EuroPython, then you have PyCon US, then you have, even in Asia, it was only just APAC. There was no even separate PyCons in Asia, all over Asia and Australia. There was just one APAC. So suddenly Ireland popped up, and you can see the calendar, there's only it was not that many. So it was very easy. We were like stuck out like a sore thumb, and he wanted to come over and see what we're about. And he helped us with the registration, t-shirt packing. And I said, like, what kind of tip can you give me? He said, I think something like, oh, it's very fuzzy now. He said, you'll get better by the 7th one or something. And I freaked out. I nearly ran out the door, Well, I can't believe like PyCon Ireland has gone on for so long as well. So, and we finally made it to a point where EuroPython's happening. So that's how PyCon Ireland was conceived. Well, was seeded in EuroPython, but the idea itself was actually kind of got created on that fateful night in February upstairs in Neary's by a few of the core Python people. And you probably see, like, if you can look back at the old pictures, you can see some of the the old kind of core Python folks in their PyCon t-shirts. So that was fun. That was fun, especially that first year, because myself and Michael, we were supposed to take a vacation. We were vacationing in Hong Kong, and most of that vacation was spent in Starbucks, using up their Wi-Fi, buying lots of coffee, because I was dealing with sponsors, t-shirt supply. Michael was dealing with the program scheduling. I was dealing with the physical program to print out for the printers and posters. So my brother got involved helping with the poster design. That snake that you see in Python Ireland, PyCon, that was my brother's design. So I got like the family involved in all this stuff. Family and friends were involved in all that. So it was like really like save money where you can, or people helped out. And that's the thing about community. You didn't have much to start off with, and everyone jumped on board to help and get involved. And it was tiring, but it was fun. But I'm just like super stoked on how far Python Ireland, how far PyCon Ireland has come along, and that the realization of EuroPython in Dublin hopefully will happen next year if this COVID thing goes away, please.
It will.
So there you go. Hope that answers some of those questions. And so I didn't start it. I can't take it, but it was like a whole team effort, and it did start by Dara, then restarted by Sean, and then I just somehow just took over, and I seem to look like the front person. But it's just me asking for people to talk and asking for sponsors for help. And it's just me just bombarding people to ask to get involved, So, yeah, so I was kind of people were pretty familiar with me back then.
So the story I had to tell you, that I said I had to tell you, was that, well, I don't know if you know this, but I think something like maybe something like a year and a half ago now, I was starting back with Python. And I was like, wow, I need a little bit of community behind this. So I looked around and I saw PyLadies Dublin having a meetup a few weeks from that date. So I just got super, all the courage I had in my pocket and just walked into the place where today is Groupon here in Dublin. And I just got there and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I have no idea who those people are. Oh, I saw a talk that she gave somewhere, and that someone was you.
Oh no! Whenever everyone say, "Hey Vicky," I say, "Uh-oh," or what did I do this time? I heard a lot about you, and I go, "Uh-oh, what did I do this time?" but yeah, I'm glad, that it's so it's just like so many people. I'm just so glad that PyLadies um is out there and at least have somewhere for people can go to. And look, because for me, like Python Ireland is always in my heart. And PyLadies formed as I said, did I tell you like that was another story. It got launched on my last PyCon Ireland that year, 2013. And I launched it because it was a sign. Because Lynn Root, the co-founder of the San Franciscan chapter of PyLadies, was our very first female keynote speaker ever in those years of PyCon Ireland. So I said it was a sign. I need to launch PyLadies Dublin. So I've already co-founded other not-for-profits at that stage. I said, why not another one? So this one was purely because, as I said, Python Ireland was getting so big, and I wanted a space, and I launched this one to see what kind of interest there are, and then I'm still in touch with some of the people that came to the initial kind of PyLadies, the very first one. We even had a cake and everything. Got a PyLadies cake. Lynn had to leave that day, so she didn't come along. And then there was a big sprint happening as well, so on that day. But 2013 was our launch date of PyLadies Dublin, and I asked them what did they want, and they said they wanted to do more interactive stuff. So that's why I wanted to be more free structure and get people to work on stuff on their laptops or machines or whatever, or demo stuff instead of just pure talks, which is hard now because it seems to be a lot of talks, which is kind of contravening to what I wanted to do, was be more interactive. So I'm trying to figure that problem out. So so yeah, so that's how PyLadies was Dublin was formed, just to have a kind of a smaller kind of group that people find. I don't like it when the group gets too big in the meetups. I'm really happy when there's a smaller group, so when you walk in, you feel like it's friendlier and it's not too daunting, and you just sit beside someone and just have a chat, and then just walk around, and so that's where PyLadies is trying to be a little bit different. So it's just filling in something where Python Ireland might be doing lots of big talks, and I'm trying to do with PyLadies saying we do have some talks, but I want to fill it in with kind of more interactive sessions and trying to get feedback from the members. But getting feedback from members is actually quite hard. I don't know about you. I still find it quite hard to try and get them to give feedback. I think we did a poll on for a speaker for next month. The speaker said, I have three different topics. Can you send out a poll on what they want? Came back, it was all evenly voted for all between three of them. So I said, okay, take your pick.
Do 3 short ones then.
Yeah.
Instead of like 1 half an hour one, you do like 3 10 minutes, and that's it. Then you sort out the issue.
So so it's kind of it's kind of funny. So it's kind of some same kind of problems still come across when I run these monthly PyLadies meetups. Similar problems I still come across that used to happen for me in Python Ireland, and I still see them in PyLadies. I'm still trying to learn how to fix them, but it's you're organizers as well, or you've been involved in hosting. It is sometimes you just it's kind of a $1 million question. How do you solve this?
Yes, but well, we will try. So Chuck, do you want to ask a question maybe?
Yeah, I'm like quite interested in the maker aspect of like how like because I know you're involved in a lot of maker event, and I'm sure you're a maker yourself. So what do you do? Like maybe your newest invention? What have you like make lately during this time?
I suppose a kind of little bit of background as kind of a maker. So I am a maker, but I'm not kind of like a hackerspace type maker. I suppose I'm trying to learn more about electronics. So all the stuff I've been talking about has been all volunteer stuff. And then my job is the maker advocate for a group called the Double Maker, who runs the Double Maker Festival every year, except for this year because of COVID. So it got postponed to next summer. And so my job is to connect folks from all the different makers from the community and raise the profile of maker culture. It's a 2-year program. It's funded by Science Foundation Ireland. It's part of this program called Maker Advocacy in Dublin for Everyone, so MADE. So it's a nice acronym. So I'm on kind of year 2. So this year was quite hard because of COVID. Most of this year's kind of just disappeared. and me trying to find ways to engaging with the audience and stuff. So so one of the things I did was not a physical making thing, but it was is making podcasts. I've never done podcasts before, as in I can record audio and edit it, but I've never distributed audio or distributed podcasts or with various different platforms before. So that was completely new. So my whole office setup is completely changed now, like most of you as well. So my other half, he's been like offloading some audio gear over to me, like, you know, because I think he's upgrading himself. So he's a synth head, so he likes some music synth stuff. So like I got the mic and the arm, like my mic holder broke a couple months ago, so he got he actually ordered me one of those shock absorbing kind of one that holds the mic, so it looks pretty cool. I have an audio 2-track mixer, audio in thing, and you know, now I have like LED panels because I'm doing streaming now, LED panels and all that kind of stuff. So so making podcasts was kind of a new experience for me, and especially when it was a great way to engage with the community. So that was really different because we were all so isolated for so long. I think you did a lot of these podcasts. It was great to talk to people that is not in your, you know, not in your immediate facility, like, you know, someone outside. So for me, I got to talk to like let's say someone from the Irish Print Museum, the people who are in education, teaching STEM, like make, create, innovate, and make or meet folks. To a guy who makes his own kind of he makes costumes, you know, for so costume maker. So it's kind of very interesting to talk to people like that because, you know, it gets buzzing because it's areas that I don't normally work in, and you get to hear and you go, oh my god, I want to do more stuff in art because I like doing art stuff when I get a chance. And then hearing people about their sewing skills, like, oh my god, I need to practice my sewing more because I'm really crap at sewing, you know, things like that. So that's kind of and then I obviously, as I said, I'm trying to do more with electronics and with Python, which is great. We have like MicroPython and CircuitPython, and I tend to work with CircuitPython stuff a lot, play around with things because I'm a big fan of Adafruit stuff. So like the Circuit Playground Expresses and things like that. And also, you said my latest project. I can show you if you want. I have one running in front of me right now.
We'd like to see.
It might be a bit shiny because of all the lights around me. So it's an on-air sign. I used a big LED kind of display panel called the Ubercorn. So it's by Pi Moroni. And it's the code is kind of Circuit Python code. I don't know if you can see. It's in an IKEA frame.
Oh.
On air.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I can see it very faintly. Yeah, it's growing the words. Yeah, that's so cool.
So I just wanted to. So this is supposed to be outside my door, but I only managed to get this done today. So like this is an IKEA frame. That's my Uber. Yeah. There's a Raspberry Pi Zero this way here.
Right.
So I only just got this fixed up, or just finished up fixing up today, just the backing of it, cutting out holes. So that was like, so because it's a Raspberry Pi Zero, I can remotely just, you know, run the code. It's attached to power at the moment, so, but the code, it can be run remotely. So that's what it's doing right now, and just SSH into it to Pi Zero. All I need is a power source, and I can hook it up outside, so I can just run it and just tell Michael to, you know, be quiet. I'm live streaming, or like actually, if my live stream for Pi Ladies, he's helping me in his office downstairs. But if I'm doing like things like this or a podcast, you know, I can set this going. So and there's parts 3D printed as well. So I followed someone's tutorial on this as well. So it's all bits and pieces that comes together. So that's the latest one. I actually just completed that today. The other one is I don't know if you heard of the Diana Initiative. It's a conference. I think it's a cybersecurity conference they ran recently, but I'm not in cybersecurity. But I noticed that they had it's their first virtual one as well. That they had a maker village, and they wanted to teach people how to make their own Blinky badge. And there's 3 parts. One was using Tinkercad, which is you can do it on the browser or download Tinkercad and create your Blinky badge. So it uses LEDs and it blinks out in binary Diana Initiative or something like that. And if you want to go to the next stage, you have breadboards, wires, the Arduino and Nano and things like that, and resistors and stuff. You can put everything together, and then you can like make it blink. The third part of that workshop later on that night was, which was quite late because it was US time, I didn't participate, was to solder up an actual, soldering board,
Wow.
solder up your badge. So in the end, I did the breadboard thing. I didn't do the Tinkercad. I did the breadboard thing, just because I'm curious on how they run a live electronic workshop.
Yeah.
Which was, I won't be doing that. I learned, I can see lessons learned where, I think I taken a lot of lessons learned from how to maybe run an interactive workshop with electronics. But this is, the following day, I actually soldered up this. I can see the green is lighting up in from
Yeah.
so I'm not very good at soldering, but I was learning a lot about soldering. So with Michael does a lot of electronic stuff, so I had to ask him for, I think it's
Yeah.
I don't know if you can
looks
see it
super
on.
tidy.
Yeah.
Super tidy.
Looks super tidy.
Yes, he said I'm not too bad at soldering, but so this is on at the moment. Hold on, see if I can get. Should work. Give me a sec. I'll just plug this in. So
Yeah, it's so cool. I always want to try, but I just don't have. Ooh.
The button doesn't do anything. You can learn it. The button I haven't done anything with the button yet. I haven't programmed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's that blinky badge. So it works. So he was showing me how to use the multimeter or the voltmeter and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I kind of it was fun. It's kind of take me away from the computer as well with the soldering. So it was a lot of fun, and try not to burn yourself, because it was just I'm scared of that stuff. I don't like being burnt or electrocuted. So so people say, soldering easy, but I'm just like, no, I'm terrified of it, but I do it anyway.
I really like your on-air kind of frame. That
Yeah.
thing. I think if you make a kind of a YouTube have series of like how to do it, then that would be great.
I'm on the dev blogging platform. I've actually written post documenting on the on-air sign project. But I think I just finished the 3-parter today.
Oh, I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, so it's in an IKEA frame. That frame you can't get anymore at the moment. They're out of stock. I don't know if they're gone forever. It's an IKEA.
Maybe in the UK
frame.
they have. I don't know. Just have to try my luck.
Yeah. You just have to look. It's the 23 by 23 square one, the deep one. But yeah, it's it's the instructions are all in that dev2 post. I actually list out where you can get the code and the requirements. And the guy that I took he did the 3D printed parts to hold the board together, so he has information on that. So it's his project, which is inspired by, I think, one of the projects from the Tested show, the Adam Savage's Tested. So yeah, that's kind of the stuff I kind of sort of doing, and I document them in dev. So because I just love putting stuff on dev, just so addicted to it. So things like that, and the blinky badge is there as well, and you can see some of the other things. Like I can't show you. I'm still stuck on the Circuit Playground Express. I don't know if you know what it is. It's for people out there. It's kind of a microcontroller that has a ton of sensors on it. I think I have it here, but you won't be able to see because I have a 3D printed case on it. So you have there's a Circuit Playground Express. It has buttons. Like, you can see it or not.
So
Does that work or not? I don't know, because my camera is an iMac camera, so it's not really good. So yeah, button sensors. So what I want to do is the gyro kind of sensor on it. You can move it up, down, left, right, whatever, and tilting it. So I want to get that information and pull it into and processing, generate a small little image. And this one has this is an e-ink LCD on it, but I have one that has just an LCD. It's not because e-ink is so slow to refresh. It just drove me nuts. So I want to send that image back to the playground Circuit Playground Express. So every time you move it, it creates another image and sends it across. So I'm at that last stage, trying to send bytes over serial back from processing back to the Circuit Playground Express, and I wanted to show that image, and that's the part I'm actually haven't finished yet. That's my last part. Again, I've been documented on dev as well, so that's one of my projects that is kind of ongoing. So it's just one more step to go, but it's one big step for me. People might find it easy, but for me it's like a journey almost.
No, I need to look up your tutorial because for me it's impossible. So I have to follow your tutorial.
But
But anyway,
yeah.
yeah, I
Go ahead.
think we are almost running out of time. So Lace, do you want to go to your PyPI highlight, or do you have one last question for Vicky? I think we can do
Um,
either one of them.
I think no, we maybe have time for the both of them. Like we just squish another question and then I show one
Okay.
library. That's
Yeah.
it. Cool. So last question then. Since considering you helped me so much when I was studying, and well, that you're a diversity advocate. What again, another cliche, but I think it's a good question for you, especially. What advices would you give to people that are studying that are not sure if Python is for them or if text for them, or they're just looking for a little bit of like guidance or
Right.
a mentor? What would they
Um,
do?
Well, first of all, don't be afraid to ask questions. Try, like, even if you don't know where to ask questions, okay, before that, try small projects. And then if you find that that your project's worked and you're really excited, don't be afraid to demo them. People do a lot of like Grammy and TikToking, right? You put that up saying, hey, this is what I did. Ooh, that's a lot of fun. Even if it's just for yourself, I think it's just a bit of confidence boost. And then maybe something you might want to demo and show, and you start wanting to giving talks and things like that. That'd be one way of doing it. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. If it's not working, it is okay. From what I learned from Double Maker, for getting people to showcase their projects, it doesn't have to be finished. People just love seeing the process behind how things are made. You see things are perfect in the end, you say okay, and you play with it, and that's it. But people will like to see if it's not imperfect and there's work in progress. They say, oh, what if you think of doing that? Maybe someone might have ideas. But yeah, definitely maybe I think it's a lot of exploration. Be curious and don't be afraid of exploring. Given that we have so many tools online right now, maybe too much sometimes. But it does always different paths to an answer. There's not everyone. There's no one answer. For those younger who are thinking of going through school into college and stuff, there's different ways. You don't have to go to college. There's so many different tools out there to help you learn, and especially now with COVID, there's so much contention on kids trying to get into the points here in Ireland to get into college and things like that. It's not the end of the world. Like there's for me, I went from kind of a route of going to school to college to getting my job, but then I just went sideways in my career. I just went off and went back as a mature student and study multimedia for a year because I want to be more creative, my hippie side. I want to do more animation, learn about that and things like that. That's where I learned more about editing, and audio and video stuff comes along, and that came in handy with Python Ireland because I was editing a lot of the videos and things for conferences and the meetups. So I did a lot of the production work on that in the early days. And then from that, I just ended up like say researcher curator for a games exhibition for Science Gallery to, being a tech community person that like a liaison, connecting that to when Dogpatch was trying to get more people to use their space, and trying to bring a community together. So it just went sideways. I was just going to jobs that not necessarily are like don't even have job titles. So for people getting into it, like start small, don't be afraid. You don't know where it goes, and ask questions. If you don't know something and it's really scary, like I'm doing a lot of scary stuff right now, that means you're learning something. If you know everything, it's no fun, it's boring. So if you are scared and you go, I don't know what I'm doing here, you're jumped off the deep end. It's a scary, but that is a good thing to have, because that means there is a chance for you to learn more, to kind of, and then you can adapt, and then the next scary thing, then you know how to do that thing, and then you're on to the next scary thing, and you just grow into it.
Yeah.
So I say, don't be afraid to ask questions and start small, do your own thing. And as you maybe show your friends what you did, or some of them are more comfortable showing their TikToks and gramming their stuff, put that up, and
Yep.
gauge your reaction. If no reaction, so what? It's your own thing. You're happy about it because yes, I got it working. Put it out there.
Mhm.
It's pure joy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think it's don't be afraid. Then ask questions and start small and just go from there. And don't be afraid to jump into deep end. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very good,
Yay.
I think. So Lex, do you want to talk about your highlight?
Yes, sure. Sorry, my internet went away for a bit. So let's talk
Your
about
paper
paper
mill.
mill.
Yes.
Yes, so paper mill. I was playing with Jupyter notebooks these days, and I found paper mill, and paper mill basically allows you to like parameterize and like do different stuff with your Jupyter notebooks. So the way it kind of works is you install it, and then it accepts parameters on tags on the cells on the actual notebook, and you can tag those and then execute the notebooks and run it with like specific stuff. So if you have a look in there, you can put your tags on, and those tags become, so you see in that case they're parameters, and then you can use them later on your code. It's super interesting. The implementation I found of that is Kedro uses that to transform pure functions on the notebook into actual like Python functions to build the data pipelines. So yeah, I found that for other stuff, for like simpler stuff. I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah. That's
Cool.
good. Yeah.
So
So I
that's
think
it.
we are actually done. I think time flies, and like every time, like when we chat with our guests, it's just like we don't realize that time passes so quickly. And we are so happy that we have Vicky with us today.
Thank you
And
for having me. It was a lot of fun to talk to other people as well, and it's nice to kind of share the story, and I like to see more of the community do more. Like you both are doing amazing stuff, and I like to see more and more people, especially like ourselves, coming on board and contribute more. And it's only even small things, helping out here and there. That every little helps. We know.
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
I will share the other notes and in the description of this video, and then of course we also share the link to Vicky's Twitter and also DevTool blogs, so you can check out all this cool creation that she made. And so I think that's it. And stay safe, and see you very, very soon.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Very much for everyone watching, and thank you, Vicky. Thank you for coming. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.